This is Audible.
Recorded Books presents an unabridged recording of Fight Club by Chuck Palahniuk, narrated by James Colby and directed by Ethan Abbott Gamache. This book is copyrighted 1996 by Chuck Palahniuk. This recording is copyrighted 2008 by Recorded Books. The first rule about Fight Club is, you don't talk about Fight Club. And now, Fight Club.
Chapter 1. Tyler gets me a job as a waiter. After that, Tyler's pushing a gun in my mouth and saying, "The first step to eternal life is you have to die." For a long time, though, Tyler and I were best friends. People were always asking, did I know about Tyler Durden? The barrel of the gun pressed against the back of my throat, Tyler says, "We really won't die." With my tongue, I can feel the silencer holes we drilled into the barrel of the gun. Most of the noise a gunshot makes is expanding gases, and there's the tiny sonic boom a bullet makes because it travels so fast. To make a silencer, you just drill holes in the barrel of the gun. A lot of holes. This lets the gas escape and slows the bullet to below the speed of sound. You drill the holes wrong and the gun will blow off your hand. "This isn't really death," Tyler says. "We'll be legend. We won't grow old." I tongue the barrel into my cheek and say, "Tyler, you're thinking of vampires. The building we're standing on won't be here in 10 minutes. You take a 98% concentration of fuming nitric acid and add the acid to 3 times that amount of sulfuric acid. Do this in an ice bath, then add glycerin drop by drop with an eyedropper. You have nitroglycerin. I know this because Tyler knows this. Mix the nitro with sawdust, and you have a nice plastic explosive. A lot of folks mix their nitro with cotton and add Epsom salts as a sulfate. This works too. Some folks, they use paraffin mixed with nitro. Paraffin has never ever worked for me. So Tyler and I are on top of the Parker Morris building with a gun stuck in my mouth, and we hear glass breaking. Look over the edge. It's a cloudy day, even this high up. This is the world's tallest building, and this high up the wind is always cold. It's so quiet this high up. The feeling you get is that you're one of those space monkeys. You do the little job you're trained to do. Pull a lever, push a button. You don't understand any of it, and then you just die. 191 floors up. You look over the edge of the roof and the street below is mottled with a shag carpet of people, standing looking up. The breaking glass is a window right below us. A window blows out the side of the building, and then comes a file cabinet, big as a black refrigerator. Right below us, a 6-drawer filing cabinet drops right out of the cliff face of the building, and drops turning slowly, and drops getting smaller, and drops disappearing into the packed crowd. Somewhere in the 191 floors under us, the space monkeys and the mischief committee of Project Mayhem are running wild, destroying every scrap of history. That old saying, how you always kill the one you love? Well, look, it works both ways. With a gun stuck in your mouth and the barrel of the gun between your teeth, you can only talk in vowels. We're down to our last 10 minutes. Another window blows out of the building, and glass sprays out, sparkling, flock of pigeon style. And then a dark wooden desk pushed by the mischief committee emerges inch by inch from the side of the building, until the desk tilts and slides and turns end over end into a magic flying thing lost in the crowd. The Parker Morris building won't be here in 9 minutes. You take enough blasting gelatin and wrap the foundation columns of anything, you can topple any building in the world. You have to tamp it good and tight with sandbags, so the blast goes against the column and not out into the parking garage around the column. This how-to stuff isn't in any history book. The 3 ways to make napalm? 1, you can mix equal parts of gasoline and frozen orange juice concentrate. 2, you can mix equal parts of gasoline and Diet Cola. 3, you can dissolve crumbled cat litter in gasoline until the mixture is thick. Ask me how to make nerve gas. Oh, all those crazy car bombs. 9 minutes. The Parker Morris building will go over. All 191 floors. Slow as a tree falling in the forest. Timber. You can topple anything. It's weird to think the place we're standing will only be a point in the sky. Tyler and me at the edge of the roof, the gun in my mouth. I'm wondering how clean this gun is. We just totally forget about Tyler's whole murder-suicide thing, while we watch another file cabinet slip out the side of the building, and the drawers roll open mid-air, reams of white paper caught in the updraft and carried off on the wind. 8 minutes. Then the smoke. Smoke starts out of the broken windows. The demolition team will hit the primary charge in maybe 8 minutes. The primary charge will blow the base charge. The foundation columns will crumble, and the photo series of the Parker Morris building will go into all the history books. The 5-picture time-lapse series. Here, the building standing. Second picture, the building will be at an 80-degree angle, then a 70-degree angle. The building's at a 45-degree angle in the fourth picture, when the skeleton starts to give and the tower gets a slight arch to it. The last shot, the tower, all 191 floors, will slam down on the National Museum, which is Tyler's real target. This is our world now, our world, Tyler says, and those ancient people are dead. If I knew how this would all turn out, I'd be more than happy to be dead and in heaven right now. 7 minutes. Up on top of the Parker Morris building with Tyler's gun in my mouth, while desks and filing cabinets and computers meteor down on the crowd around the building, and smoke funnels up from the broken windows, and 3 blocks down the street the demolition team watches the clock. I know all of this. The gun, the anarchy, the explosion is really about Marla Singer. 6 minutes. We have sort of a triangle thing going here. I want Tyler. Tyler wants Marla. Marla wants me. I don't want Marla. And Tyler doesn't want me around, not anymore. This isn't about love as in caring. This is about property as in ownership. Without Marla, Tyler would have nothing. 5 minutes. Maybe we would become a legend. Maybe not. No, I say. But wait. Where would Jesus be if no one had written the Gospels? 4 minutes. I tongue the gun barrel into my cheek and say, "You want to be a legend? Tyler, man, I'll make you a legend. I've been here from the beginning. I remember everything." 3 minutes. Chapter 2. Bob's big arms were closed around to hold me inside, and I was squeezed in the dark between Bob's new sweating tits that hang enormous, the way we think of gods as big, going around the church basement full of men. Each night we met, this is Art, this is Paul, this is Bob. Bob's big shoulders made me think of the horizon. Bob's thick blonde hair was what you get when hair cream calls itself sculpting mousse. So thick and blonde, and the part is so straight. His arms wrapped around me. Bob's hand palms my head against the new tits sprouted on his barrel chest. "It will be all right," Bob says. "You cry now." From my knees to my forehead, I feel chemical reactions within Bob burning food and oxygen. "Maybe they got it all early enough," Bob says. "Maybe it's just seminoma. With seminoma, you have almost 100% survival rate." Bob's shoulders inhale themselves up in a long draw, then drop, drop, drop in jerking sobs. Draw themselves up, drop, drop, drop. I've been coming here every week for 2 years, and every week Bob wraps his arms around me and I cry. "You cry," Bob says, and inhales and sobs. "Go on now and cry." The big wet face settles down on top of my head, and I'm lost inside. This is when I'd cry. Crying is right at hand in the smothering dark, closed inside someone else, when you see how everything you can ever accomplish will end up as trash. Anything you're ever proud of will be thrown away. And I'm lost inside. This is as close as I've been to sleeping in almost a week. This is how I met Marla Singer. Bob cries because 6 months ago, his testicles were removed. Then hormone support therapy. Bob has tits because his testosterone ration is too high. Raise the testosterone level too much, your body ups the estrogen to seek a balance. This is when I'd cry because right now, your life comes down to nothing, and not even nothing, oblivion. Too much estrogen, and you get bitch tits. It's easy to cry when you realize that everyone you love will reject you or die. On a long enough timeline, the survival rate for everyone will drop to 0. Bob loves me because he thinks my testicles were removed too. Around us in the Trinity Episcopal basement with the thrift store plaid sofas are maybe 20 men and only 1 woman. All of them clung together in pairs, most of them crying. Some pairs lean forward, heads pressed ear to ear, the way wrestlers stand, locked. The man with the only woman plants his elbows on her shoulders, 1 elbow on either side of her head between his hands, and his face crying against her neck. The woman's face twists off to one side and her hand brings up a cigarette. I peek out from under the armpit of Big Bob. "All my life," Bob cries. "Why I do anything, I don't know." The only woman here at Remaining Men Together, the Testicular Cancer Support Group, this woman smokes her cigarette under the burden of a stranger, and her eyes come together with mine. Faker. 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 Short matte black hair. Big eyes the way they are in Japanese animation. Skim milk thin, buttermilk sallow in her dress with a wallpaper pattern of dark roses. This woman was also in my tuberculosis support group Friday night. She was in my melanoma roundtable Wednesday night. Monday night she was in my Firm Believers Leukemia rap group. The part down the center of her hair is a crooked lightning bolt of white scalp. When you look for these support groups, they all have vague, upbeat names. My Thursday evening group for blood parasites, it's called Free and Clear. The group I go to for brain parasites is called Above and Beyond. And Sunday afternoon at Remaining Men Together, in the basement of Trinity Episcopal, this woman is here again. Worse than that, I can't cry with her watching. This should be my favorite part, being held and crying with Big Bob without hope. We all work so hard all the time. This is the only place I ever really relax and give up. This is my vacation. I went to my first support group 2 years ago, after I'd gone to see my doctor about insomnia again. 3 weeks I hadn't slept. 3 weeks without sleep and everything becomes an out-of-body experience. My doctor said, "Insomnia is just the symptom of something larger. Find out what's actually wrong. Listen to your body." I just wanted to sleep. I wanted little blue amytal sodium capsules, 200 milligram sized. I wanted red and blue Tuinal bullet capsules, lipstick red Secanols. My doctor told me to chew valerian root and get more exercise. Eventually I'd fall asleep. The bruised old fruit way my face had collapsed. You would have thought I was dead. My doctor said if I wanted to see real pain, I should swing by First Eucharist on a Tuesday night. See the brain parasites. See the degenerative bone diseases. The organic brain dysfunctions. See the cancer patients getting by. So I went. The first group I went to, there were introductions. This is Alice. This is Brenda. This is Dover. Everyone smiles with that invisible gun to their head. I never give my real name at support groups. A little skeleton of a woman named Chloe with the seat of her pants hanging down, sad and empty. Chloe tells me the worst thing about brain parasites. was no one would have sex with her. Here she was, so close to death that her life insurance policy had paid off with $75,000, and all Chloe wanted was to get laid for the last time. Not intimacy. Sex. What does a guy say? What can you say, I mean? All this dying had started with Chloe being a little tired, and now Chloe was too bored to go in for treatment. Pornographic movies. She had pornographic movies at home in her apartment.
During the French Revolution, Chloe told me, the women in prison, the duchesses, baronesses, marquises, whatever, they would screw any man who'd climb on top.
Chloe breathed against my neck. Climb on top. Pony up, did I know. Screwing past the time. La petite mort, the French called it. Chloe had pornographic movies, if I was interested. Amyl nitrate, lubricants. Normal times I'd be sporting an erection. Our Chloe, however, is a skeleton dipped in yellow wax. Chloe looking the way she is, I am nothing. Not even nothing. Still, Chloe's shoulder pokes mine when we sit around a circle on the shag carpet. We close our eyes. This was Chloe's turn to lead us in guided meditation. She talked us into the Garden of Serenity. Chloe talked us up the hill to the Palace of 7 Doors. Inside the palace were the 7 doors, the green door, the yellow door, the orange door. And Chloe talked us through opening each door, the blue door, the red door, the white door, and finding what was there. Eyes closed, we imagined our pain as a ball of white healing light, floating around our feet and rising to our knees, our waist, our chest.
Our chakras opening, the heart chakra, the head chakra.
Chloe talked us into caves where we met our power animal. Mine was a penguin. Ice covered the floor of the cave and the penguin said slide. Without any effort, we slid through tunnels and galleries. Then it was time to hug. Open your eyes. This was therapeutic physical contact, Chloe said. We should all choose a partner. Chloe threw herself around my head and cried. She had strapless underwear at home, and cried.
Chloe had oils and handcuffs, and cried as I watched the second hand of my watch go around 11 times. So I didn't cry at my first support group 2 years ago. I didn't cry at my second or my third support group either. I didn't cry at blood parasites or bowel cancers or organic brain dementia. This is how it is with insomnia. Everything is so far away, a copy of a copy of a copy. The insomnia distance of everything. You can't touch anything and nothing can touch you. Then there was Bob. The first time I went to testicular cancer, Bob the big moosey, the big cheese bread, moved in on top of me and remaining men together and started crying. The big moosey treed right across the room when it was hug time. His arms at his side, his shoulders rounded, his big moosey chin on his chest, his eyes already shrink-wrapped in tears. Shuffling his feet, knees together in visible steps, Bob slid across the basement floor to heave himself on me. Bob pancaked down on me. Bob's big arms wrapped around me. Big Bob was a juicer, he said. All those salad days on Dianabol and then the racehorse steroid Wistrol. His own gym. Big Bob owned a gym. He'd been married 3 times. He'd done product endorsements. And had I seen him on television ever? The whole how-to program about expanding your chest was practically his invention. Strangers with this kind of honesty make me go a big rubbery one, if you know what I mean. Bob didn't know. Maybe only one of his huevos had ever descended, and he knew this was a risk factor. Bob told me about post-operative hormone therapy. A lot of bodybuilders shooting too much testosterone would get what they called bitch tits. I had to ask what Bob meant by huevos. Huevos, Bob said. Gonads, nuts, jewels, testes, balls. In Mexico, where you buy your steroids, they call them eggs. Divorce, 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 Bob said, and showed me a wallet photo of himself, huge and naked at first glance, in a posing strap, some contest. It's a stupid way to live, Bob said, but when you're pumped and shaved on stage,
totally shredded with body fat down to around 2%, and the diuretics leave you cold and hard as concrete to touch. You're blind from the lights and deaf from the feedback rush of the sound system, till the judge orders, "Extend your right quad, flex, and hold. Extend your left arm, flex the bicep, and hold." This is better than real life. Fast forward, Bob said to the cancer. Then he was bankrupt. He had 2 grown kids who wouldn't return his calls. The cure for bitch tits was for the doctor to cut up under the pectorals and drain any fluid. This was all I remember, because then Bob was closing in around me with his arms, and his head was folding down to cover me. Then I was lost inside oblivion, dark and silent and complete. And when I finally stepped away from his soft chest, the front of Bob's shirt was a wet mask of how I looked crying. That was 2 years ago, at my first night with remaining men together. At almost every meeting since then, Big Bob has made me cry. I never went back to the doctor. I never chewed the valerian root. This was freedom. Losing all hope was freedom. If I didn't say anything, people in a group assumed the worst. They cried harder. I cried harder. Look up into the stars and you're gone. Walking home after a support group, I felt more alive than I'd ever felt. I wasn't host to cancer or blood parasites. I was the little warm center that the life of the world crowded around. And I slept. Babies don't sleep this well. Every evening I died, and every evening I was born. Resurrected. Until tonight. 2 years of success until tonight. Because I can't cry with this woman watching me. Because I can't hit bottom. I can't be saved. My tongue thinks it has flocked wallpaper and biting the inside of my mouth so much. I haven't slept in 4 days. With her watching, I'm a liar. She's a fake. She's the liar. At the introductions tonight, we introduced ourselves. I'm Bob, I'm Paul, I'm Terry, I'm David. I never give my real name. "This is cancer, right?" she said. Then she said, "Well, hi, I'm Marla Singer." Nobody ever told Marla what kind of cancer. Then we were all busy cradling our inner child. The man still crying against her neck, Marla takes another drag on her cigarette. I watch her from between Bob's shuddering tits. To Marla, I'm a fake. Since the second night I saw her, I can't sleep. Still, I was the first fake. Unless maybe all these people are faking with their lesions and their coughs and tumors. Even Big Bob, the Big Moosey, the Big Cheese Bread. Would you just look at his sculpted hair? Marla smokes and rolls her eyes now. In this one moment, Marla's lie reflects my lie. And all I can see are lies. In the middle of all their truth. Everyone clinging and risking to share their worst fear, that their death is coming head on, and the barrel of a gun is pressed against the back of their throats. Well, Marla is smoking and rolling her eyes, and me, I'm buried under a sobbing carpet. And all of a sudden, even death and dying rank right down there with plastic flowers on video as a non-event. "Bob," I say, "you're crushing me." I try to whisper, then I don't. "Bob." I try to keep my voice down, then I'm yelling. "Bob, I have to go to the can." A mirror hangs over the sink in the bathroom. If the pattern holds, I'll see Marla Singer at Above and Beyond, the parasitic brain dysfunction group. Marla will be there. Of course Marla will be there. And what I'll do is sit next to her. And after the introductions and the guided meditations, the 7 doors of the palace, the white healing ball of light, after we open our chakras, when it comes time to hug, I'll grab the little bitch. Her arms squeezed tight against her sides and my lips pressed against her ear, I'll say, "Marla, you big fake, you get out. This is the one real thing in my life and you're wrecking it. You big tourist." The next time we meet, I'll say, "Marla, I can't sleep with you here. I need this. Get out. Chapter 3. You wake up at Air Harbor International. Every takeoff and landing, when the plane banked too much to one side, I prayed for a crash. That moment cures my insomnia with narcolepsy, when we might die helpless and packed, human tobacco in the fuselage. This is how I met Tyler Durden. You wake up at O'Hare. You wake up at LaGuardia. You wake up at Logan. Tyler worked part-time as a movie projectionist. Because of his nature, Tyler could only work night jobs. If a projectionist called in sick, the union called Tyler. Some people are night people. Some people are day people. I could only work a day job. You wake up at Dulles. Life insurance pays off triple if you die on a business trip. I prayed for wind shear effect. I prayed for pelicans sucked into the turbines and loose bolts and ice on the wings. On takeoff, as the plane pushed down the runway and the flaps tilted up, with our seats in their full upright position, and our tray table stowed and all personal carry-on baggage in the overhead compartment, as the end of the runway ran up to meet us with our smoking materials extinguished, I prayed for a crash. You wake up at Love Field. In a projection booth, Tyler did changeovers if the theater was old enough. With changeovers, you have 2 projectors in the booth, and 1 projector is running. I know this because Tyler knows this. The second projector is set up with the next reel of film. Most movies are 6 or 7 small reels of film played in a certain order. Newer theaters, they splice all the reels together into one 5-foot reel. This way you don't have to run 2 projectors and do changeovers. Switch back and forth. Reel 1, switch. Reel 2 on the other projector, switch. Reel 3 on the first projector, switch. You wake up at SeaTac. I study the people on the laminated airline seat card. A woman floats in the ocean, her brown hair spread out behind her, her seat cushion clutched to her chest. The eyes are wide open, but the woman doesn't smile or frown. In another picture, people calm as Hindu cows reach up from their seats toward oxygen masks sprung out of the ceiling. This must be an emergency. Oh, we've lost cabin pressure. Oh. You wake up and you're at Willow Run. Old theater, new theater. To ship a movie to the next theater, Tyler has to break the movie back down to the original 6 or 7 reels. The small reels pack into a pair of hexagonal steel suitcases. Each suitcase has a handle on top. Pick one up and you'll dislocate a shoulder. They weigh that much. Tyler's a banquet waiter, waiting tables at a hotel downtown. And Tyler's a projectionist with the Projector Operators Union. I don't know how long Tyler had been working on all those nights I couldn't sleep. The old theaters that run a movie with 2 projectors. The projectionist has to stand right there to change projectors at the exact second, so the audience never sees the break when one reel starts and one reel ran out. You have to look for the white dots in the top right-hand corner of the screen. This is the warning. Watch the movie and you'll see 2 dots at the end of a reel. Cigarette burns, they're called in the business. The first white dot, this is the 2-minute warning. You get the second projector started so it will be running up to speed. The second white dot is the 5-second warning. Excitement. You're standing between the 2 projectors and the booth is sweating hot from the xenon bulbs, and if you look right at them, you're blind. The first dot flashes on the screen. The sound in a movie comes from a big speaker behind the screen. The projectionist booth is soundproof because inside the booth is the racket of sprockets snapping film past the lens at 6 feet a second. 10 frames a foot. 60 frames a second snapping through, clattering, Gatling gunfire. The 2 projectors running, you stand between and hold the shutter lever on each. On really old projectors, you have an alarm on the hub of the feed reel. Even after the movie's on television, the warning dots will still be there, even on airplane movies. As most of the movie rolls onto the take-up reel, the take-up reel turns slower and the feed reel has to turn faster, At the end of a reel, the feed reel turns so fast the alarm will start ringing to warn you that a changeover is coming up. The dark is hot from the bulbs inside the projectors, and the alarm is ringing. Stand there between the two projectors with a lever in each hand and watch the corner of the screen. The second dot flashes. Count to 5. Switch one shutter closed. At the same time, open the other shutter. Changeover. The movie goes on. Nobody in the audience has any idea. The alarm is on the feed reel so the movie projectionist can nap. A movie projectionist does a lot he's not supposed to. Not every projector has the alarm. At home, you'll sometimes wake up in your dark bed with the terror you've fallen asleep in the booth and missed a changeover. The audience will be cursing you. The audience, their movie dream is ruined, and the manager will be calling the union. You wake up at Crissy Field. The charm of traveling is everywhere I go, tiny life. I go to the hotel, tiny soap, tiny shampoos, single-serving butter, tiny mouthwash, and a single-use toothbrush. Fold into the standard airplane seat. You're a giant. The problem is your shoulders are too big. Your Alice in Wonderland legs are all of a sudden miles so long they touch the feet of the person in front. Dinner arrives. A miniature do-it-yourself chicken cordon bleu hobby kit. Sort of a put-it-together project to keep you busy. The pilot has turned on the seatbelt sign, and we would ask you to refrain from moving about the cabin. You wake up at Meigs Field. Sometimes Tyler wakes up in the dark, buzzing with the terror that he's missed a reel change, or the movie has broken, or the movie has slipped just enough in the projector that the sprockets are punching a line of holes through the soundtrack. After a movie has been sprocket run, the light of the bulb shines through the soundtrack, and instead of talk, you're blasted with the helicopter blade sound of whop, whop, whop as each burst of light comes through a sprocket hole. What else a projectionist shouldn't do? Tyler makes slides out of the best single frames from a movie. The first full-frontal movie anyone can remember had the naked actress Angie Dickinson. By the time a print of this movie had shipped from the West Coast theaters to the East Coast theaters, the nude scene was gone. One projectionist took a frame, another projectionist took a frame. Everybody wanted to make a naked slide of Angie Dickinson. Porno got into the theaters, and these projectionists, some guys, they built collections that got epic. You wake up at Boeing Field. You wake up at LAX.